So, welcome to Castle Crashers, which I'm only playing because for some reason my recording program won't record on Steam or my browser today, so that's fucking helpful. But I'm going to talk about the failed fucking Steam auction thing that just happened between December 15th and 18th for anybody who was on Steam. Uh it it was a fucking hot mess. When they first put the event up, they actually put it up on like December 11th or something, giving people a chance to, I guess, get ahead on the bidding or making of gems, whatever. And this fucking event failed miserably immediately. I mean, it went up and came down within 7 hours, probably between 5 and 7 hours. It was broken. There was some kind of flaw where somebody was able to duplicate gems freely, and they ended up with like, fucking a billion gems, and they were selling them on the market. And 1,000 gems was worth 3 cents, which is less than all the things it took to make 1,000 for everybody else. Like in my inventory, I made 3,500 off of all the backgrounds I had for making badges for the summer sale event. And the bids were just like ridiculous amounts. And so Steam, quote unquote, fixed the event and put it back up within 24 hours. Except, guess what? It was still fucking broken. When it first broke, they took it upon themselves to take it down and attempt to fix it. And, they refunded people. They gave people back money for whatever they spent on gems. They gave people their original gems back. I keep dying. And so you got everything back. Like, I spent my 3,500 on booster packs to make gems, and I was like, fuck it. I'm not gonna win any bids with it being broken to shit, so I made booster packs, and I got to keep the booster packs, and I got my gems back when they reset the event. So I feel like that was a fuck up on Steam's part, because they essentially let you make a bunch of booster packs, and even if you had bought these duplicated gems and made booster packs or used them for other things, you got them all back. And it claims that it didn't let people keep the duplicated ones, but when the bids restart, they were all ridiculously high again. So they absolutely did let people keep broken gems. And I got all of mine back when I restarted this event. So I kept mine. I bought a bunch of wallpapers for 3 cents prior to that, and I stocked up to about 6,000. Yeah, I'd say about 6,000 gems before all the prices went back up. So I of course ended up making money off of this event. I made like $6 or $7 of actual money that I can use to buy games instead of fucking bidding on them. I also bought a bunch of booster packs and I made badges because I enjoy that. I don't know, I like having them for the games that I have. And oh god, this event was just so broken. I don't know why Steam thought any kind of bidding would be a good idea, because they had winter backgrounds that were, the first one sold for 1.2 million gems, and this was after, they quote-unquote fixed this event. It's... And nobody in their right mind was able to afford that. 1.2 million gems was over 1,000 real-life dollars on the market, valued, because gems were selling at over $1 for 1,000 after they fixed the event, and it stayed that high, and it got as high as $1.50 for 1,000 gems, which is what I sold mine at the second to last day. Or I suppose like technically the last night of the event, because I did it at like midnight or something. And I sold mine for, after Steam took their like whatever percentage of it was, I think I sold them for like $1.50, and I got like $1.41 per pack of gems, and I made, I sold 4. The other ones I used. So yeah, I made just under $6 off of this event, which is freaking ridiculous. And I keep selling the cards that I'm getting now at, I sold them before the event at 25 cents a pop, so I had like 6 or 7 of those for making badges again, and that was another $1.50 just off of cards alone. Steam is so into micromanagement now that if you can break the system on any given event, summer or winter, because this summer I can't even tell you how much, I made $15 probably off of the summer event. But if you have any savvy at all, as soon as an event starts, you can exploit it. And Steam does absolutely nothing to fix them, or if it does fix them, it just makes no real mention of it. And on this one, it was absolutely no different, except that they gave away a bunch of games for quote-unquote less than what they were worth, which is absolutely not true, because any newer game was selling for about the same price or more or just barely under, but at market value of gems, I'm sure some people who had a ton of background saved up in theirs probably got a game for free to them, but otherwise people were paying real life money for gems and exploiting the systems and getting things that they shouldn't have. And the whole event, I would say, was a huge failure. And I'm sure Steam will do it again because they made thousands upon thousands of dollars in microtransactions because they get a cut of everything. So all those gems that sold, they made money off of. All the cards that sell, they made money off of. I believe there were 17,000 microtransactions of gems before they fixed the event. And then there were probably hundreds of thousands after. And, you know, they get pennies off of everything. So 100,000 at a few pennies, they probably made $500,000 a day off of these events. Now, I'm not knocking Steam because their winter and summer sales are what keep me in games because everything is crazy expensive, and I live in Canada currently, and so our money's worth slightly less than US, and Steam recently changed their system to quote-unquote accommodate that, even though I think we're technically getting ripped off now because we're paying more per game than we would be otherwise. And I know that they tried to adjust it fairly, but it's an ever-changing market. So I feel like we're definitely going to lose in the long run on this, especially when our money evens out and Steam doesn't. But that's just me. I don't know. I really feel like that whole auction event was genuinely just a bad idea. And Steam tried to fix it, and it was still blown out of proportion. People were still paying $20 worth of gems for a $15 game. They could have just sold their gems, bought the game, and still had a freaking profit off of it. And they made the most money off of fucking winter-themed profiles that, you know, are temporary. It says right on them that they only last until, like, the middle of January or something. So you're paying $600 worth of real-life money that you could have sold to buy a profile that lasts a month. So it's definitely a status thing on Steam at this point. I mean, God bless you, Steam, for having your sales. And, I mean, the auction might have been a good idea once upon a time, but these days it was exploited, and it just wasn't fair for a lot of people who didn't have money to spend on these gems. And I don't know. You go to these articles though where it's like, well, Steam attempted to fix it and, you know, people can buy games for less. It's like, well, the only games that sold for less were DLCs and indie games. I think I got a $5 game for 1,000 gems, so like about $1 at the time. And it's like some really crappy, it's like something Monster Massacre Circus or something. And, you know, it wasn't even worth, you know, the dollar I freaking spent on it in gems. I should have just sold it and kept the money. But I did it for the badge, and, you know, I'm as much into status on here as the next person, but the whole event was just so contrived and just so poorly done. So, Steam, thanks for the holiday sales. Thanks for the money off of games, because I'll obviously be buying them, and I'll be making money off these cards like I do every time there's any kind of event. But it's just... ugh. Steam is still in my good graces. It's obviously no shitfest like Origin. It's not a fuck up like Uplay. But there are still some things they do where it's like they're making tons of money, and the only people profiting are people who have the real life money to spend on these events. And I don't know. Like, I also checked the subreddit for this Steam event, and like, you get people on there saying, oh, you know, I got tons of games. I got like 20 games that I won, and I made money off of the gems, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's because you exploited a system. That's not because you actually enjoyed the event. You did not do these things of your own free will. You definitely used the system to your advantage, and used your money to your advantage. It's just... I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this. I don't know how anybody else feels. I'm sure there are people who obviously feel that they profited. I mean, I did. Fuck, I made, you know, $6, $7 off this event alone, and I made twice that on the summer one. But realistically, most people who use Steam because it's cheaper and because they can afford games did not make anything off that auction. They did not win anything at that auction. They did not get anything from it, and it wasn't fair for a lot of people. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the whole process of it, the whole charade of that auction. The winter sale is great. I'm probably going to spend money, but it's just not. It's not a realistic. It was not realistic in any way for people to win most of those games. Plus, my other problem that I actually forgot about until now was that it when you bought a game, it goes into your inventory, which also means that you could gift the game to somebody else, maybe. So it's either you gift it or you could essentially trade it to somebody else for something else. So I'm betting that most of the games, the bigger name games that won where people paid more gems than were necessary, are people who exploited the system so hard that now they have a bunch of copies of these games that they can trade to other people and exploit the system that way as well. And they're going to continue to profit off of this poorly made event in the future. And, you know, maybe they can give their friends a bunch of those games, but I'm really doubting that's what's going to happen. I'm betting mostly that they're going to exploit it for more money. And that's what it's become. Steam has become, you either pay for your games and play with your friends, or you exploit games for items like Counter-Strike Go and Team Fortress 2, where you can earn items that you can sell for real life money that are actually worth money. I sold a TF2 hat for about $8 not that long ago, and I just bought a bunch of games. I bought Castle Crashers, actually. I bought this in Bulletstorm, which I've been enjoying immensely. So, I mean, there are people like me who absolutely take advantage of the system, but I don't rip off other people. I just take what items I get, I sell them at the lowest market value, or I sell them slightly below the lowest market value, because then they're guaranteed to sell, and you get money right away, and I don't have to fucking worry about it. But I buy games that I want, and I have fun with my friends, because me and some other people have been playing Castle Crashers, obviously, and we've been enjoying the shit out of it. So, I mean, there's that, and then there are people who are just going to keep exploiting it for money and status, and I don't know what else. But it's not the best idea. But I can't complain entirely, you know? I just think that auction was completely unfair. It was a broken event, and even after they fixed it, it was still just completely broken, and I'm kind of disappointed in that. But it's, you know, it's whatever, it's Steam. So the Steam Winter Auction, I'm going to say fail. Steam Winter Sale is always a win. That and their summer sale really helps people out, because they couldn't afford otherwise, like these $50, $60 games that are going on sale for half price or less. That's awesome. So thank you, Steam, but don't try another auction. That's all I've got to say, really. So that's kind of it for this video. I know I haven't been able to record in a while. My computer, I lost a stick of RAM, and then my CPU decided that it absolutely would not render any videos. But now I fixed that. I've got an 8-core. I think this game also just broke. But I've got an 8-core CPU. I upgraded to 8 gigabytes of RAM from 6, and now I'm back to recording, and hopefully we can keep up, me and Cade can both keep up on gaming news, gaming events. We've talked about adding some things to our channel. But overall, we should be back, and hopefully not all our videos will be terrible like this one. But I just really wanted to talk about that Steam auction and why I think it was unfair and broken in comparison to other things Steam has done. But also, you know, Steam's not the bad guy. They have to make money just like everybody else, and I think that events like the auction kind of make up the difference on them selling games for cheaper in winter. So do they still come out and profit? Absolutely. Are they profiting off of these events? Absolutely. Does it help cover the cost of these sales that help everybody else get money, or help everybody else get games for less money? Absolutely. So in the long run, the auctions are good for, that auction was good for Steam because, you know, it keeps the prices down on these sales, I'd imagine. and it helps out people who can't afford these games otherwise. But was it a really shitty event that was unfair for most people? Yeah. So, in the long run, good job, Steam. You're keeping games cheap for people on the sales, but your events are broken as hell. I know I keep saying that was the end of this, and then I keep talking, but that was really all I had to say, is that thumbs up Steam for your winter and summer sales, thumbs down for your really contrived card events. Will I continue to buy Steam games? Yes. Will I continue to exploit events to buy games for myself? Absolutely. But to anybody who can't, I'm really sorry that Steam keeps doing these things to you. But have a Merry Christmas, everybody, and enjoy the Steam Winter Sale.